Hello everyone and welcome to a week of Linux news for the 23rd of April 2017. The code name for Ubuntu 17.10 has been released and, well, it's going to be a bit of a puzzle what it was going to be because we have gone from ZZ, so were they going to go to AA or AB? Well, it's been revealed, they're going for AA. We have Artful Aardvark. Perhaps rather unusually, Mark Shuttleworth has not announced it this time around. The code name was actually noticed on a new repository. Keeping with the news on Ubuntu 17.10, this is from Softpedia. Canonical will make GNOME the default desktop. Well, I guessed correctly. Well, it was an educated guess based on the fact there is only one interim release left until 1804, which Mark Shuttleworth formally announced would be the GNOME desktop. And you have to consider that Canonical will want to get the upgrade cycle correct. Well, the only way to test if upgrades work correctly is to go straight to the GNOME desktop, and that is what they've done. It looks like the switch will be made in the Alpha 2, and GNOME will be using Wayland. They will also have to decide if they'll drop the Lite DM Login Manager and replace it with the GDM, the GNOME Display Manager, as well as Thunderbird as the default email client as Evolution integrates better with GNOME. The move to GTK4 could also be a problem for them due to the issues with the current themes used in Unity. Well, my guess is they'll be dropping the theming as well. There is a petition on change.org to make KDE Plasma the default desktop for Ubuntu 1804 instead of the GNOME shell. And you may be surprised, but I completely disagree with this. They are citing the reasoning on the fact that you can make a better Unity desktop with KDE. Yes, I agree. I have just shown how you can do it with GNOME, but I've also previously shown how you can do it with Cinnamon. Oh, and the fact I showed how to make a Unity desktop with KDE about 3 years ago. I did notice one comment from a viewer where they remarked that I've been using Unity in KDE for longer than it's been in Ubuntu. Yeah, that's about right, I think. So what else has been said? So moreover, any customizations you make to Plasma can then be available for other Plasma users of non-Ubuntu distributions. Users who have loved Unity 7 but for whatever reason have switched to, for example, a rolling release distribution. Canonical has always accumulated some experience working with Qt, and anecdotal experience seems to suggest that, once exposed to it, developers prefer working with Qt rather than GTK. Note that LXDE Desktop is switching to Qt, for example. Yeah, they've been switching to Qt for a long time. Moreover, the KDE community seems like a community open to collaboration more than the GNOME community. Some benchmarks seem to indicate that Plasma is more performant than GNOME Shell. God. Who wrote this? Some fancy words used here. Can we not just say it runs faster than GNOME Shell but boots up a lot slower? Oh yeah, that explains it. And read the letter. Letter to Canonical Limited, Mark Shuttleworth, make KDE the default desktop for Ubuntu 1804 instead of GNOME Shell. All I can say after reading that lot is citation needed. Well, let me do some of the hard work for you and look into why LXQt came about and if the developers actually prefer working on Qt compared to GTK. So LXQt is a merger of RazorQt and LXDE. We have a statement here, however I need to admit that working on Qt/C++ is much more pleasant and more productive than messing around with gobject/GTK+. And since GTK3 breaks backward compatibility a lot and it becomes much more memory hungry and slower, I don't see much of an advantage of moving to GTK+ now. GTK2 is lighter but no longer true of GTK3. Ironically, fixing all of the broken compatibility is harder than porting to Qt in some cases. PCman FM, in my opinion, is one of them. So the petition has accumulated over 2,000 signatures. Let me explain why it will never happen. First off, you need to consider the upgrade path. Upgrading between long-term support releases of Ubuntu. Bear in mind they have always contained applications from GNOME. Well, what do you do with those applications that are going to be updated? Do you let them install and end up with replicated GNOME applications and KDE applications? For example, you would end up with like gedit and Kate, the two text editors, Nautilus and Dolphin, file managers. Or do you make all the GNOME packages transition packages so they don't install and then create a new meta package which will install all the KDE desktop? Yeah, okay, that's an option. Second reason, the KDE derivative of Ubuntu is called Kubuntu, which receives no financial support from Canonical. Funding comes from Blue Systems. Third reason, there's some very strange politics between Mark Shuttleworth and Jonathan Riddell, who was in the Ubuntu Community Council. I can't work out the full story because a lot of it has been said behind closed doors, but Jonathan Riddell managed to say something which annoyed the Ubuntu Community Council, and they tried forcing him to step down. But the Ubuntu Community Council had Jonathan's back, and refused. It came to an impasse, and Mark Shuttleworth demanded that Jonathan step down. I don't know what became of the final story. I know Jonathan has continued working with KDE, for example seeing KDE Neon. And the fourth reason, Canonical is a company. They can do what they want. It is not a community distribution. So you have technical, political and financial issues, all of which combined lead me to believe that Ubuntu will never use the KDE desktop. As much as I would love to see them go down that route, it's not going to happen. From Life on Linux, the Unity desktop environment isn't dead, forks are being planned. The first up is YUnit, which you can find on GitHub. It's based on Unity 8 and their main focus is the desktop. Then we have UBport, which focus on mobile, and I've mentioned a couple of stories about UBport in the past. Going by a small user survey done on Gaming on Linux, Unity was third most popular desktop, so hopefully people who are fans of Unity may be able to continue using some form of it. I don't see any mention there about Unity 7 being forked, however I have seen it mentioned that Unity 7 will be kept in the repositories, so you could potentially install it. The KDE Applications have been upgraded. We now have 17.04.0. Let's have a look at some of these release notes. So KDE Live. KDE's video editor is becoming more stable and more full-featured with every new version. This time developers redesign the profile selection dialog and make it easier to set the screen size, frame rate and other parameters for your film. Now you can play your video directly from the notification when rendering is finished. I like the sound of that feature. Dolphin, our favourite file explorer and portal to everything except maybe the underworld, good one, has seen several makeovers and usability improvements to make it even more powerful. Damn it, Dolphin was already the best file manager, in my opinion. The context menus in the Places panel have been cleaned up, and it is now possible to interact with the metadata widgets in the tooltips. And there's quite a bit more information about them. Linux Deepin 15.4 has been released. Now I've just received some information from a long-time subscriber about the finances behind Deepin. This was something I couldn't quite establish before when I took a look at the how secure their distro was and were they trying to leak out any information, and it turns out I could not find any evidence to justify those claims. Well, I've only had a glance through the information so far, but it seems like a lot of the funding comes from the Chinese government. Another story from Softpedia, Ultimate Edition 5.4 seems to be the first Linux distribution based on Ubuntu 17.04. Ultimate Edition has now moved to the Budgie desktop, and they seem to have kept up with the garishness on the theming. I wouldn't have expected anything less. Now it's interesting they've chopped and changed desktop quite a few times. I don't know why the previous release they went down the KDE route because they seem to be so negative to it, and I have to say it was one of the worst implementations of KDE that I've ever seen. Hopefully the Budgie release is a lot better. Will I take a look at it? I don't know, I'll see if I get time. From OMG Ubuntu, this simple Firefox tweak will apparently make Firefox a lot faster, and it's to do with enabling the hardware acceleration. So Firefox 57 will apparently be the first release that will enable hardware acceleration in Firefox on Linux out of the box, but as Firefox 53 has only popped out of the release hatch, that's still some way off. So there's some instructions here on how to enable the hardware acceleration. Could be worth doing. And for this week's stupid news, it has been found that a $400 juicer is almost a complete waste of time. It works by squeezing the juice out of pre-prepared bags. Reporters were able to wring out 7.5 ounces of juice from the packets in 1.5 minutes, while the machine squeezed out 8 ounces in 2 minutes. So what is the point of this $400 juicer? To squeeze the juice out of these bags that you could do by hand. Well, why not just buy the bags then? Do away with the machine. Yeah, great. What a waste of time. The packets range in price from $5 to $8 and can't be purchased unless customers already own a Juicero machine, which costs $400, yeah. And that concludes the week of Linux news. Well, thanks for watching. I'll see you all later.